All right. Welcome to another edition of Sabbath Lounge. This is Matt
and Jake here.
And we wanted to start a new series called Talking Torah.
Talking Torah with Sabbath Lounge.
And so here we are. And we're going to start at the beginning of this, and we're going to start with in the beginning.
Yeah, so this is basically going through the Torah portions and trying to, give some notes on it and our little takeaways, short and sweet. And so in the beginning is Bereshit.
Yep. And so we're going to take a look at that. And by no means are we saying we're the experts and we know everything here. We have lots of questions.
They know that, Matt.
They know. Yeah. And some of you may really like our globe. It's really a circle, if you will, the circle of the earth.
Well, and I think we've lost half our viewers just by having this.
But I thought it looked cool, so I went with it. So, who doesn't like a good Giphy?
Right.
Yes.
I don't even know what that is.
No.
I'm sure.
Or is it Jif?
That's peanut butter.
Yes.
So who knows? There's no right answer.
Yes. So here we are in the beginning.
Do what you feel.
Yeah. Okay. Really? So in the beginning, and so right at the very beginning, we see this as a Hebrew wedding model. And the father prepared a place for his bride, and in a way you could say that's Adam, under the sukkah, or the booth of the firmament. And then after Yeshua built a place for his bride, then Adam had a place prepared for his bride in his father's house. So he had a job, he was under the father's authority, and he prepared a place for his bride to be.
Right. And then he gave them all the food to eat. Mm-hmm. So it was like a meal, kind of.
Gave them everything,
if you will, because that's part of the
wedding
yes,
model,
they
have a meal together. That's
yeah.
right. Hadn't thought about that. That's good. So that's something that you see right off the bat, and something that to be looking for is the wedding model. And then we come across day 6, and this had a lively discussion. And so Jake and I don't maybe see the same viewpoint, and we wanted you to hear what we both think. But in Genesis 1:26 and 2:15, you see some human creations. You see what could appear to be two human accounts, creation of humans. And you have this weird question of what do you do with incest. And so it is my opinion that you have a group of people made outside the garden in Genesis 1:26, and then later Adam and Eve are made, and they were supposed to be the priest to go out and tell these other people outside the garden how awesome Yeshua was. They were to be his royal priesthood and go out and do that. And to me, it solves the incest problem. But Jake doesn't necessarily see it that way, or is in the process of trying to figure it out. And so explain how you think.
So I think traditionally my thought process has been, in chapter 1 he's talking about he created man, and then in chapter 2 he's kind of going back because he's showing how while there was no rain on the earth yet and no one to till the garden, so he created Adam. So to me it kind of words as a way of coming back and showing day 6 in a more detailed manner. And I think that kind of plays out in Scripture several places.
It does. I'll give you that.
But true, you do have to get past the incest situation, because I come from a position where my understanding is that Torah always was from the beginning. And so we know in Torah that for brother and sister to marry is an abomination. So
it's an abomination.
Yeah. Oh, we need his voice.
Yes, we do.
but we need to record that. Mm-hmm. But so then that comes to a contradiction to me, because Yahweh
Malachi 3:6.
Well, he says, "Woe to those who call good evil and evil good." And if he's calling it evil at some point, then how can he be calling it good at some point also? So there's that to juggle. So I think the incest thing is very difficult to get around, and I don't know if you can. Now the Cain situation where Cain is fearing for his life when he goes out into the cities, that I can justify in my mind as family. They lived 900 years. They could have had so many children to make a city. How big was a city? You know, Cain's family, knowing that he killed his brother, would want to avenge that, so he would fear for his life there. So that would make sense to me. But also, you know, either side of that makes sense to me, that, well, these people outside the garden would be wanting to kill Cain.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the differences, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've always thought, even, you know, to elaborate just a little bit more, that it's even possible that the gestation period of humans was different, and how quickly they could have babies and how many they could have. I mean, there are things like that we don't really know.
Well,
we
and how long they could keep having babies.
Yes. So we make a lot of assumptions when we look at this about how we are today, and it could have been different then.
Yeah,
so
a lot of things happen between this period in the story and post-flood even, and then into New Testament stuff. So.
Yeah. So, but, you know, I challenge you to go look at this day 6 concept. If you've never noticed that there could appear 2 creation accounts, you know, go look at it, think about it. You know, that's not a salvation issue. It's something interesting to ponder, and I just challenge you to think about it and research it a little bit.
Oh, I do have a question though.
Okay.
And so, is Adam and Eve, is that an 8th day creation? Or do you think this is all 6-day stuff? Because I think the standard view on 6-day people is that Adam and Eve was an 8th day situation.
Oh, huh. I don't know. I haven't thought about it much. It makes sense to me that they would be 6th day, but I mean, I guess it could be 8th day.
Yeah. See, 8th day doesn't make sense to me. I would give credence to it as a 6-day kind of dual creation situation.
Do I believe he could do both on the same day? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's easy.
I just know the standard view of 6 day is that there's an 8th day creation.
Yeah.
But I think all that was created in 7 days.
Another thing to think about this is, if you look at the model is, do we believe that he just made, do we believe he just made this garden, and then this little garden spot populated its seed across the whole earth? Or do we believe he made lots of plants and trees and grass at the same time? So, I mean, that's another thing to consider. You know, it kind of makes sense if he made, we don't believe he made one tree. And it's like, all right, tree, you got a lot of work here.
Yeah.
Make lots of acorns, and then one day they'll
we could do that here. We have lots of acorns.
Yes, we probably could. But, I don't think it's that model, so it makes sense that he made lots of trees across the whole earth, and so it kind of makes sense to me. It makes another argument that would he have done mankind that way, because he didn't do the animals that way. He didn't say, all right, you 2 elephants, get together.
Yeah.
Y'all make a whole tribe of elephant people.
Right.
Elephant.
Well, I hope he didn't say that.
Elephant creatures, kingdom, phylum, class, genus, species.
You didn't know The Elephant Man was a documentary.
Yes. Sorry. But that's another little wrinkle to put in here to think about.
Yeah.
So anyway, something to think about. And then also you see this, is it possible, I kind of mentioned that there was this priest model from the very beginning, that Adam and Eve were supposed to be the Father's priests to represent his kingdom to the world around them.
Yeah, Adam anyway. I don't think the women were priests. But,
yeah.
But yeah, I get your point. And that's an interesting concept. And I hadn't heard that until we started fellowshipping together. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty interesting. Also, I think it makes sense that, and we discussed this last night, that this is the start of a Melchizedek priesthood that we're going back to when Yeshua returned. When Yeshua in this
second coming.
Yeah, when he implements. That's the word. When he implements the Melchizedek priesthood, it's the priesthood that was originally. So that makes sense to be hearkening back to Adam.
Yeah, and Yeshua is often referenced as the second Adam.
Right.
So kind of makes sense. But, check that out. And then immediately you see food is a deal. the first rule in this place is all about food. And so why does it shock us that food is important?
Yeah, you see food rules as the very beginning, and then you see even jumping over to Acts, when this is all the Gentiles need, half of them are food laws. So, so I don't think it's consistent to say he doesn't care about the food that we eat, because it's the very first rule. Don't eat that.
Yeah. And, as a parent, your first rule seems like it's a pretty, first rule for most parents is no.
Yeah.
And that seems like a pretty big deal in the life of a parent. That word right there, what that means.
Right.
And so it makes sense that this is too.
Yep.
And, the other thing that I kind of wondered is it possible this is Yeshua that's walking with man in the garden? Is he...
Yeah, and I don't know. It's hard to know that. And, there's so many instances of this person walked with Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's, with Moses seeing Yahweh from behind, and then Abraham walking with Yahweh, Adam walking with Yahweh, Enoch, right? And so it's hard to know exactly what that looked like.
Yeah. But just something to
But
ponder.
I think that's possible, that any time that Yahweh shows up as a physical representation, it would make sense that it's in Yeshua form.
Yeah. And then I also found this. This is I have this book. I actually happen to have it handy. So I believe lots of people have seen this. I highly recommend this. This is the Timeline of Biblical History. And it's good. And so I didn't realize. I think you can find this on Amazon right now for $29.99. No,
ooh, not a sponsor.
Yes,
although if they would like to.
So anyway, I have that book, and it's amazing, and it folds out. It's like 12 feet long. But I found out that it was actually made in the 1870s, and I went to Wikipedia of all places, and I found this.
There's nothing true on Wikipedia, Matt.
Nothing true. Seems to be true, though.
Yeah.
And so I was able to scan this great big picture and take little snippets in here, and it's public domain because it was made in like 1870. Mm-hmm. And so here's a great timeline. And so, because when you read this stuff, sometimes you get in these timelines, and it's like, first off, I don't know about you, but some of these words might be a tad bit hard to pronounce.
The names, yeah.
And I'm like, I feel kind of foolish when I start trying to say these words, especially in the Texan accent. Sometimes it sounds funny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why we didn't just continue naming our kids like this.
Yes.
If we did, it would be so much easier.
It would be easier, then we'd know all these names.
Yeah, then it would be hard to say Matt.
Yes, it would.
Maybe,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. But this is a great timeline showing you, from the beginning. And I think the people, when they put this together, they tried to do just the genealogies to show the time and to show where the flood happens in time and space. And we're not going to get into, was the days 1,000 years in creation and all that. I mean, there's a whole can of worms, and you could spend a lifetime searching this particular piece of scripture, I believe.
Yeah, these very first Torah portions are so full of speculation and just flat out guessing, and but there's just so much there because it covers such a span of time so quickly that it can't just give you every detail.
Yeah, that's true. So anyway, that's a great resource, and I believe at some point I put a link to that in there, but I don't know why I don't have it, but I can provide a link. If you just Google, it's called Adam's Biblical.
Go ahead.
What was
Say
the name
that
of it?
word, Matt.
Synchronological
is what it is.
Yes.
Adam's synchronological chart.
Yep. Or if you don't want to mess with that, get the book.
Yes.
So either way. So I believe that's all we were going to say about in the beginning. And, bottom line is go read it.
Yes.
Read it. try to read it without bias from us or anyone else, and you just try to discover it on your own. And we just encourage you to continue to read these portions.
Yep, and have an open mind when you read it, because the world is going to tell you half of that stuff never happened and doesn't make sense.
Try to work evolution into it, and for a long time I was stuck on that. I was real confused. I was trying to work in evolution and what man said, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't understand. And finally I went, I believe what the Father gave me over man.
Yeah.
Even if it is very contrary and hard for me to understand or hard to wrap my mind around, I believe his word has to be true over what man says.
Right.
Man has lied a lot, if you haven't noticed.
Yes.
So
I've noticed.
Yes, I have too. Well, this is the end of our very first
Torah Talk. Talking Torah.
Torah.
What did we just
Talking Torah.
Talking Torah.
Talking Torah. So we appreciate you stopping by to take a look at Talking Torah with Sabbath Lounge. Thank you.
Thanks.